Micron technology is emerging as one of the clearest beneficiaries of what investors are increasingly calling a full blown memory supercycle, driven primarily by explosive AI related demand for high bandwidth memory, HBM, and NAND. The stock's surge reflects a growing consensus that the current upcycle is structurally different from past memory booms, with AI workloads creating sustained non cyclical demand rather than short lived inventory restocking. At the core of this optimism is Micron's blowout fiscal Q1 2026 performance. Revenues jumped 56% year over year to $13.64 billion, dollars, handily beating Wall Street expectations of $12.88 billion. Dollars. Even more striking was the performance of Micron's cloud memory business, where sales reached $5.28 billion, dollars, nearly doubling, plus 99.5% compared to the same quarter last year. This segment's growth underscores how deeply embedded Micron has become in hyperscaler and AI data center buildouts. Strong top line momentum translated directly into profitability, with Micron posting non GAAP net income of $5.48 billion, dollars, well above analyst estimates, and marking a dramatic turnaround from the downcycle conditions seen just a year earlier. The demand outlook for Micron's HBM products remains a major focal point for investors. As AI models grow larger and more compute intensive, HBM has become a critical bottleneck component for GPUs and AI accelerators. Hyperscalers and data center operators are racing to secure supply, yet industry capacity remains tight. CEO Sanjay Mehrotra has emphasized that HBM supply constraints are expected to persist, with demand continuing to outstrip available production. This imbalance is widely viewed as a pricing tailwind, positioning Micron to benefit not just from higher volumes, but also from improved margins as customers compete for limited supply. Beyond near term earnings, the market is paying close attention to Micron's long term capacity strategy. The company is committing tens of billions of dollars to expand NAND and memory production, including a $24 billion investment in its Singapore facility. Importantly, analysts and investors see this expansion as disciplined rather than reckless. Rather than flooding the market, Micron appears intent on carefully pacing capacity growth to align with AI driven demand, reducing the risk of oversupply that historically crushed memory pricing in prior cycles. This strategic restraint is fueling the argument that Micron deserves a valuation re rating, especially given its relatively low forward PE compared to other AI exposed semiconductor names. Analyst sentiment has turned decisively bullish. A notable catalyst came from Mizuho securities analyst Vijay Rakesh, who raised Micron's price target from $390 to $480 while reiterating a buy rating. The upgrade was anchored in aggressive forecasts for NAND pricing, with estimates calling for a 330% surge in 2026, followed by another 50% increase in 2027. According to Mizuho, this price explosion is driven by roughly 20% demand from AI data centers, far outpacing flat or constrained production across the industry. The note reinforced broader industry reports, pointing to tightening memory supplies, and trading volumes spiked sharply following its release, confirming strong institutional interest. The bullish narrative is also being amplified by macro and geopolitical considerations. Investors are actively debating how tariffs and trade restrictions could disadvantage certain foreign competitors, potentially shifting incremental demand toward Micron as a US based supplier. This adds another layer to the thesis that Micron's strategic position has improved structurally, not just cyclically. Market commentators see broader implications as well. Xavier Wang of eToro noted that Micron's Singapore expansion is likely to ripple through the global semiconductor supply chain, lifting sentiment across the memory and chip making ecosystem. He highlighted that the scale of Micron's investment signals confidence in sustained AI driven demand, while also demonstrating a commitment to avoiding the boom and bust dynamics that plagued the sector in the past. Taken together, the community narrative around Micron is increasingly framed in terms of early innings of a multi year AI memory supercycle. Many investors are drawing comparisons to historic exponential runs in semiconductors, arguing that Micron remains undervalued relative to its earnings power, strategic importance in AI infrastructure, and improving pricing dynamics. While some caution remains around volatility typical of memory stocks, the dominant sentiment is that Micron is no longer just a cyclical rebound story, but a core AI infrastructure play poised for sustained growth.
Yes, indeed. Some market participants are skeptical. They're still thinking that this is still the same old story. It's good we have that sort of skepticism as things stand right now. Amid growing demand for these memory devices. It's good to have that sort of skepticism. We want fewer hands to be trading the stock, because the fewer they are, they like the good chance of high prices will be there. That you want that skepticism. We don't want everybody to be on one boat. So in the midst of all of that, high prices are expected to continue to print going all the way towards the 5th of February. The 40-day moving average expected to continue to extend. Everything is strongly bullish. Fundamentals are not. You can't. I mean, if you're not in here yet, just really strongly consider doing so. There will be pullbacks and all of that. There will be things like that. Um, yeah. In the midst of all of that, our algos are indicating that even high prices are still very much possible. The fact that we are having projections of $468, $500, 570, 520.57 is an indication that it has a potential. It has just been parabolic for some time now, but our algos are still calculating. They have actually seen that there's something there. It's going into a different a phase where it is accommodating all that is going on right now. So we can see here we have 520.57. In some cases, in some stocks, we don't have anything because the parabolic phase has overextended. It does not mean that higher prices will continue to print, but in the case of Micron, we're seeing a totally different picture, especially on this 4-hour chart here. So everything high prices all the way. Momentum expected to continue to print towards the 29th, Thursday the 29th. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? What can I say? Skepticism is there. We want it to be there. We want that skepticism to be there. It's very, very much important. It trades 30 million shares. There's a good chance that market makers and option traders are also involved in what's going on. It's good to have them, but we just hope they don't. I really doubt. I really doubt that because their participation can also lead to consolidation. It's very important as well. We want consolidation. We want everything, but we want high prices to continue to print. So there's a good chance that is what is going to happen, because that is exactly what has been going on. So let's see how all of this will go. And thank you very much for watching this video.